What's up, everyone? Beast Mode back here with another video. So today I wanted to share my current zombie build. This here is the deck list that I ran at the 3v3 tournament. I went 2-1 with this build. I beat Hero Frogs round 1. I beat a Diva Hero deck round 2, and round 3 ended up losing game 3 to Blackwings. I didn't draw particularly well game 1. And for whatever reason, I wasn't able to make like any accurate reads. My opponent was kind of playing unorthodox, maybe playing well, obviously enough to beat me, but I just really couldn't get an accurate read on Icarus attack in the back row, and just couldn't get anything going against my opponent. So anyway, this is the list here. You'll notice some changes right off the bat. Illblood is no longer in the build. Deck Devastators 3, I had main decked it, and it was, I don't know, I probably discussed this on other videos, but it was in my hand 50-60% of the time, just opening hand. It just sticks there. It's got to be the dueling book algorithm, because in person I don't really draw it that often, but it was such a brick. It was essentially I was playing at a disadvantage every game, and I'm surprised I was able to make the top 12 cut. But so we've since cut that, and when I say we, JG and I really focus on the deck. We try to make changes. So Soul was able to win RBET Season 2, the first RBET, with double DD Crow. I've noticed a lot of decks online that have been main decking DD Crow, both in person and online tournament play. So I wanted to give it a whirl. Problem is, it doesn't really do a whole lot against Blackwings. Sure, it can stop a top deck Blizzard, which is probably the best case scenario, but otherwise it doesn't do much against that matchup. But I think the reason why we really decided on DD Crow was because of the fact that we thought Frogs would be even more popular. And if you look at the results from the 3v3 tournament, I believe Frogs were pretty dominant in the top few teams. I know Fraser Smith's team had double Frog players right there, and they were in at least the top 4. So it was a pretty good read, because main decking double DD Crow and double Book of Life against Frogs really makes the matchup a lot better. I know just hitting a DD or hitting a Treeborn Frog is not able to stop the deck in itself, but the key is that you don't have to worry about hard drawing the Book of Life, because that's really the only answer you have to the Treeborn Frog game 1 is the Book of Life. You also have the additional DD Crow here that you can draw, and then you have Sing that can search for it. So a little bit more access to be able to kind of stall the Frog deck out early. And also, especially against Hero Frog, the card was just so good, because that deck really plays a limited amount of heroes. And when one hits the graveyard, they usually, they try to Miracle Fusion, so you can DD Crow and really stop the deck and shut it down. Probably not as good against the Junk deck or the Diva Frog deck. Again, I don't have much experience against those specifically, just kind of Frogs in general. But against the Hero build, DD Crow main deck is really good. Some changes that we made: we cut down on a Pyramid Turtle. We went with a 2-2 Recruiter package, just because no Illblood, so not really needed to have the 3 Pyramid Turtle. And you can make the argument Pyramid Turtle is better against Blackwings, because if Sure attacks it, then you can put the search, or you can search another turtle and put it in defense. They really can't get over it. But I feel Mystic Tomato is better against like Bayou, which is also still popular, because they summon Armageddon Knights. You can just crash with it. So it depends on the matchups, really. We went with double Book of Moon in this event. Book of Moon is a really good card. I don't know if I like 2. We might cut this back down to 1. Dust Tornado, I feel, is like a really good card in general, just because the problem this weekend, why we didn't really do that well, was my teammate JG was also playing this zombie build, and he was running into the Hero Beat players, and Bayou Turbo and Royal Oppression just ruined him both rounds that he lost. So you need to have an out to that card, or you just can't play the game. And it's even harder to play with this deck with Royal Oppression on the board, because you don't have the option of just going like Turtle Crash into Illblood and at least have a beater. So Dust Tornado is good. The problem is, if you play Frogs or Christia Sworn, it just doesn't do anything. So you kind of at a disadvantage there. But the problem is, with this format, it's a great format. It's just there's so many decks. So you can't have a deck that's going to counter all of them. Same thing with the sideboard. So I think you just have to pick what you decide to main in terms of having Dust Tornadoes or not having Dust Tornadoes. I do think it's necessary, because of the fact that Royal Oppression will beat you 9 out of 10 times. If you don't have an answer, you just cannot play. So one of the RBETs that I topped with zombies, I think it was 4. We main deck double Dust Tornado. I think that's good. I do think it's good, because of the fact that you have to be able to stop Royal Oppression. So maybe possibly making a change with the Book of Moon and maybe adding another dust, and then just say, you know what, I have double DD Crow and I have double Book of Life, so we'll see how the Frog matchup goes. I don't know if I shared what matchups I played. Yes, I did earlier. So I was able to beat a Frog player round 1. Fortunately, 2-0, and it wasn't overly difficult. I felt pretty confident the whole time. So the DD Crows did help in that sense. I'm not sure if I would main deck them going forward. I have to really discuss and see where the meta is shifting towards and see, how I feel for the next tournament. But this was the build that we played. Side deck here is probably the most important part of the deck. Went with double Cyber Dragon, got to have it with the Fortress. And one last thing, the really good thing with the double DD Crows is obviously we don't have to side deck them. So now we have a little bit more room. Thunder King was kind of the last addition, like throw-in card at the end. Really good against the Dragon Turbo deck. You can kind of drop that turn 1. Problem is there's only one, so if you don't see it, then it's kind of a waste of time. Not bad against Gladiator Beast, just a big beater. You can put it in against zombies too if you're going first, game 2. This card here is kind of a flex spot. You don't have to necessarily play Thunder King. I don't think it's like absolute. I almost didn't, so... Vortex, just a good card, especially against the Christius One deck. I think it has to be in the sideboard. It's good against dragons. If they don't have Prime Material Dragon on the board, you can just blow out the double Red Eyes and whatever else is on the board. Good against the Christius One deck. I think that it's probably good at just 1. I don't think you need necessarily more than that. Compulse. This card here is a new addition to the sideboard. I haven't really been playing it, but I did like it a lot this weekend. As 10-foot had said on stream, it's one of the best cards against value. You don't want to put the Armed Wings back in the graveyard. You just want to bounce them because then they end up just making another Synchro from the graveyard again. So Compulse is really good. It's also good against zombies because if they go Brio and Synchro with a Goblin Zombie, they don't get priority, so you can just bounce it right back to the extra deck. Problem is you do have to deal with it later on in the game, so... I do think it's just a bit more reactive. Obviously, it's better than having a D-Prison sometimes just because you can at least activate it. So, also good against a Diva Hero deck because Absolute Zero, that deck is becoming really popular again. And Absolute Zero is difficult to deal with, but it trades pretty well if you don't have, even if you have like a Goblin Zombie on the field, you can just compulse it away and, search. So it's really just a 1-for-1. Probably one of the more efficient ways of dealing with it is just a compulse right out of nowhere. Just compulse the guy back and be okay. So I do like this card in the sideboard. I think I'm definitely going to keep running it as of right now. Double D Prison, just got to have them, especially for Glads and any aggro decks. Hero Beat is running around everywhere. Problem is you kind of get punished if you D Prison and they chain Spark, but that's just going to happen. So decided to just run 1 dust in the side. I know a lot of people are on 3. I go back and forth. I don't find myself ever really side decking in 3, and I know it's decent against Blackwings, but... problem is, if you don't have enough defense against Blackwings, they'll just beat you down while you're dust tornadoing Icarus attacks and stuff. So it does work. I don't know if 3 is 100% necessary, but I go back and forth. Depends on my mood that day. So we decided with 1 on the side, 1 on the main. 1 light mirror here. The reason why we just have 1 is because we have the double skill drain. So I think it's a little bit redundant. Skill drain does stop most of the things that light mirror stops. Of course, it doesn't stop the recruiters and such, but you could make the argument of running 2 and 2. A lot of people do that. I just felt that Skill Drain went in against Frogs. It went in against Gladiator Beast. It can go in against Lice One, the Christius One. It's very versatile, whereas the Light Mirror can only go in against the Fairy and the Lice One deck. So Skill Drain, more versatile. It does hurt your deck a little bit. Well, a lot. You can't make those big Synchro pushes, but... I don't know, really didn't have enough room. I guess you could cut the Thunder King and put in another Light Mirror. That would be your call. Not wrong if you did it. We also brought back Pulling the Rugs. I was really strong when JG and I were talking. I was really strongly pushing this card here that I wanted it back in the sideboard for the Monarch matchup, just because it's a really difficult matchup for us to win. If you get behind by a couple Ryza and Caius, you're just not going to be able to play. So Pulling the Rug was really good this weekend. Now, the problem is a lot of them are side decking in Vanity Fiend, and that does not, it just eats up the Pulling the Rug, right? You're not able to use it because it doesn't activate. So they're kind of making the counterplay against a lot of people, knowing that they're side decking in the rugs against them. So they just kind of put in more Vandy's Fiends, and they're Pulling the Rugs are dead. So got to watch yourself there. I think 2 is probably the right number. 3 might be a bit overkill. It does have some utility against other matchups like Quick Draw, Pretty good against the Diva Hero deck too. I do think that that's likely it's a good side option for that. They play triple Caius, triple Diva. That's 6 cards right there that you can hit with it, and those are really big, potent cards of the deck, especially Caius. So I think that 2 is probably the necessary amount in the sideboard, depending on the deck you're playing. So double skill drain here again. So Starlight and Thunder King were probably the 2 flex spots. Starlight Road was a late addition as well. Just decent against Blackwings. Now, if you're playing against good Blackwing players, they know that Starlight's probably coming in game 2, so they might side down on the Icarus attacks. But and most of the time, you're not playing the top tier Blackwing players until later in the tournament anyway, so you don't necessarily have to bring it in. The card is such a blowout card against bad players, really. People that just, you set 4 back row and they draw heavy and they decide to slam it anyway, they get punished, and they should, because you should not do that. So I think that the card it's probably even better in like at locals and stuff where people are not really up to date with the online meta, because the online meta is way more advanced than in-person locals, it seems like, depending on your locals, of course. There's obviously some competitive local scenes, but the online players are really up to date with the way the meta shifts and the card choices and the tech and all that. So going to an RBET online or something, or Deck Devastators tournament, and you're playing some of the better players later round, they don't typically walk into Starlight Road. So kind of one of those risk versus reward type cards where you might side in and nobody plays into it, or someone slams a heavy turn 1 and you just get a Stardust Dragon and just win the game. So this card here doesn't necessarily have to be in the sideboard. Neither does the Thunder King. You can switch it however you'd like. But I just want to do a quick deck profile. This deck constantly changes. We make little changes every event. Sideboard is never the same. I'm not saying I wouldn't play Illblood again, but maybe it was just a bad weekend with the card sticking in my hand and just left a bad taste. But I do believe in the finals there was a player playing one of my Deck Devastators build, essentially, and was able to make to the finals. So it's not that deck can't win at all. And that deck had Illblood in it. So I know a lot of people are asking about deck profiles, so I wanted to make a quick video. This Saturday, we are going to be running the Beast Mode Circuit Series tournament. We are running it on Saturday this weekend because we want to make it a 32-person tournament. So we're doubling the size, okay? Hopefully we get the turnout, so this is all worthwhile. We are starting the tournament at 6 p.m. Eastern on Saturday, this Saturday. We are starting signups at 5 p.m., okay? So that gives an hour to sign up. First come, first served. First 32 players to play. Single elimination, okay? Winner gets a title/role on the Discord server, which will be linked in the description. So if you want to play, you have to join the Discord, obviously. Subscribe to the channel. It is free to play, okay? Right now we have, 6 or 7 people invited to the tournament at the end of the year. Nobody has won. There has not been a repeat winner yet. And it should be a lot of fun. We're going to be obviously on stream, commentating, myself, JG, whoever else decides to hop in and help out. So again, Saturday, 6 p.m. the tournament will start, Eastern time. We're looking for 32 players, and hopefully we can have a good time. And with that being said, I will see you all on the next one.